So, yep. And it's 1:18. Okay. All right. So what I want to talk about today, uh, Alibaba tends to be the same people who do all the like vendor supplies for like the Dollar Tree and Walmart and all that. So like if you buy stuff from them, um, if you buy stuff from like big chains like that, you getting stuff from Alibaba basically.
Everything. I mean, the people who make the packaging for Kylie Skin and Chanel
Mhm.
boxes for their purses. I mean, anything you can pretty much imagine, it comes from China.
Yes.
Even your
And like,
skincare, your lotion, like that.
mhm. They probably still do. It's still a big country, and like, there's not a vaccine, but like, that's why stuff stays in shipping for so long. It's so because like the bacteria can only live for so long. So, you know, and it doesn't hurt, like, like if you go and buy something from a store, it doesn't hurt to like wipe it down with, yes, virus, but not bacteria. Yes, still dies. But like, if you are stressing about it, it's not a bad idea to like wipe stuff down from
Yeah, but it doesn't
or
survive on surfaces, does
it lives for like a day or two. So like if you go buy something from a store that's really crowded, it probably won't hurt to wipe stuff down. But like if you're getting some shipped to you, I wouldn't worry about it. So places like Hong Kong were really good about enforcing quarantine. And so like Hong Kong has like no cases right now because they were really, really strict about enforcing quarantine. It's the same thing with like New Zealand. Like they did really strict quarantine and now like their kids are back in school. I mean, some places opened their borders again and got like another wave of infection, but like for the most part, the countries that like were really strict about it tended to have a faster recovery time. Countries that did not take it so seriously are
you think?
still, going through it. Maybe we'll figure it out. Anyways, totally unrelated. Remember to register to vote. Uh, remember that the Postal Service is important and that mail in votes are totally valid and fine. And that, all of the politicians who say that mail in voting is fraudulent voting have voted by mail in the last election. Voting by mail is not fraudulent. Yeah. Oh, we got some optimism from Nick saying that December, February we'll have one. The military votes by mail. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So we got some optimism here. But anyways, voting is important. Be informed. Support your post office. All right. How do I write that down in my timestamp? Morgan's political rant. When medicine has to get approved for human consumption, there's a bunch of rules and stages. And so like animal trials, uh, clinical small people studies, and then like wide array of human study. Yes, but so it's the same thing with like animal testing for makeup. So like obviously Angora bunnies don't wear eyeliner, but makeup still gets tested on animals to see if they're going to have an allergic reaction to it or not. And so they make sure that the compound won't kill the animals.
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes they do because you are getting introduced to, yes, animal testing is super immoral, but that's a totally different can of worms, but it still happens. A lot of companies have stopped testing on animals, though, which is nice. So your flu vaccines, remember, they're making a guess. They're making the guess about what is going to be the most prevalent strain of the flu virus. And so they make a guess, and that's what they vaccinate people for. And so you might have a bad reaction to it because it is a live virus being put into your system, and so you might have a bad reaction to it. Yeah, a lot of people do get minorly sick from it, but it means that you won't get the actual flu, and it gives you a better chance of not getting like very sick from it. And it also helps herd immunity too. If you're vaccinated, it helps people who can't get vaccinated stay safe. So that's why, like in schools and stuff, all the kids have to be vaccinated. And so then it's like kids with leukemia who can't get vaccinated are still safe. Allergy shots. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Like, I am really bad. When I worked with kids, I got my flu shot. And this year I'm going to get my flu shot. I hate getting flu shots, but for a long time I wasn't doing it because I wasn't like, yeah. So yeah, if it makes sense for you to get a flu shot, get a flu shot. They're normally free. If you have any kind of insurance, they're free. And if you don't have insurance, they're normally super cheap. So, and they do also do the nasal spray ones, which tend to be less intense and less invasive. But they can make you sick, and you can get a flu vaccine and still get sick. It's just something you can do to try to help. So my mom gets the flu like every single year. Yeah, me too. I'm a wuss. Cool. All right. So that's a little bit bigger picture than what we're going to be talking about today, but that's okay. Now I had a flu last year. I got the flu last year, and I had another infection on top of it. It was great. I thought I was just like so tired, like when I had the flu and I had another infection. I didn't get a shot last year. Because like I didn't work with kids anymore, and so I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get the flu. I don't work with little kids anymore. Yep. And so I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. I don't feel good. And so I finally went to the doctor, and they're like, you have the flu and another infection. Well, why are you going to work? I was like, I thought I was just sick. But yeah, no, my whole family had the flu last year, right around Christmas. My dad got sick, and then he got me and my mom sick.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
I never get the flu shot, and I never get sick.
Mm-hmm. $10. Yep. Yeah, a lot of places will pay you to get your flu shot. Like if you go to Target or Publix or Kroger, they'll pay you to get your flu shot. So, a little bit of suffering, but it can help take care of people. I'm getting my flu shot this year. I don't want to, because I'll probably be sick that whole day, and I am a wuss, and I will cry when I go get the shot. But with everything else going on, I feel like it's a good idea to get it. But again, like if you're allergic to it or like you're super sensitive to it. Yeah, this Christmas. Yep. No, I just cry. When I got my teeth removed, I just cried the whole time when they were doing my IV. I'm just such a wuss. I'm just a wuss. It's very sad. All right. Okay. So we're a little bit derailed, but that's okay. Any other things we want to talk about? Okay. A dad joke. Do you have one prepared? Okay, give me your dad joke and then we'll start class.
Okay, I had
Oh, and I'm prepared. I can show my rock, paper, scissors game. I'm on my desktop.
Ooh. Okay, we'll do demos after class. We'll wrap up with that. It'll be a nice note to end on. All right, give me your dad jokes, easy.
Okay, so this is a math dad joke. So the difference between a numerator and a denominator is a short line. Only a fraction of people understand this.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Girl.
All right. So this week what we're talking about, okay, so here, all right. So for 1 to 10, it was just Morgan's rants. Great. And like totally if you don't agree with me, that's A-okay. I do think it's important to vote. Even if you don't agree with me, you should vote. Do some research. Yeah, it's okay if you don't agree with me. I can take constructive criticism. And like also like, I have a very limited worldview and I accept that. So this week, what we are talking about is we're going to dive in depth into server pieces. So what that means is we're going to really dive deep into like, what does it mean to set up a server? How does the internet work? How do we do things like, okay, so like when I go to like, I think I have an order at Lush. I know I talk about e-commerce stuff a lot, but that's what I do. So like when I go to Lush, I don't have an account, but notice like, oh, is it not going to do what I was expecting it to do? Let's see. It's being slow because I'm on my Mac for this one. So I can see the chat. But it knows which mall is closest to me. It knows I'm not logged in. And if I can get this cart thing to load, it'll, Lush is my favorite, y'all. If it will ever load the cart, then I could show you guys that it keeps all my stuff in the cart. But it doesn't want to load. I don't know if that's my computer or Lush. But yes. I don't like grapefruit either. Yeah, listen, you want to win over my heart, like handmade bath stuff? Mm-hmm. It's my jam. Yeah, bath bombs. Yep. It is my jam. And I like that nothing's plastic, which is very nice. Like there's no plastic containers and all that. All right. So how does Lush know which mall is closest to me?
GPS? Your location?
So it's figured out my location. But how does it know it that fast? What about, okay, what's another website that I go to a lot that I'm not logged into?
Could it be your IP address? Something to do with your
My IP address? Yeah.
IP address,
That's a really good guess.
geolocation.
Let's see. So here's all these I know another makeup store, but like it knows that I'm logged in, and it knows all of this information. What do I have in this card? I don't know what I have in this card. But so it maintains this cart, and it maintains that I'm logged in, and it maintains what store is closest to me and all that. Yep, cookies. Yep. Happy late B-Day. No, my birthday is on the 30th, so we got some time. But yeah. So like Christina said, it's cookies. Cookies are the reason that Sephora knows which Sephora is closest to me. And they know what I have in my cart and what kind of membership I have and all of that. So happy birthday, Rogue. Online to this mystery gift. I don't know what that is. So if we go here. Can I go here? I don't know if I will remember this off the top of my head. I do not. That's okay. I want to just show it. Boop, there we go. Okay, so all I did is I was like, hey, show me my cookies. And here it is. So it says where my site is located, what language I speak. This is how many times I've visited since the cookie's been reset. Here's my device ID. Here's my user ID. Here's my confirmation. Here's my shipping country. It says it knows my computer's a desktop computer. It knows where I am right now. A lot of these are like unique IDs that get parsed through. Here's my session ID, which we'll talk about. Oh, look, it knows that I'm inside a Sephora exclusive member. So that's in there. Some tokens. If I'm going to click the next page or not. Here's my cookies. So all of this information is stored. Get a cookie from someone else. Yep. You don't need login information if you contained a logged in cookie. Exactly. Yep. Do that in incognito mode. Yeah. So it'll be totally different. Yeah. So if we go into an incognito window and we go to the Sephora. So first off, let's wait and see what it says. So it says sign in now. I'm not signed in anymore. It still knows where I am, but that's probably because of Chrome. Like Chrome knows where I am. And so now if I run this, and I be patient. So we still have some stuff, but notice it is a lot shorter. It is a lot less information. It doesn't have my stuff, like, so it's getting cookies from someone else, how private purchase accounts can be hacked. Yes, so getting someone else's stuff, like this data might not be encrypted, and so if you get a token, you can say that you're someone else. That sounds good, like cucumbers. But yeah, so this is what cookies are in practice. They're little strings of information that help store contextual information about the user. The problem cookies are trying to solve is, who are you? So instead of handing, oh, hello, little man, you helping out? Yeah. He is such a cutie.
Thank you.
So
Is
that's
the
the whole
information
point.
always a string, Morgan, or are you just saying strings of information, or it is always a string?
Yes, they are almost always a string. You can parse them to a JSON object if you would like, but they're just going to be a string, just like this. Cool. So that's what they are. That's what they do. So let's talk a little bit more. Oh, we're getting a thumbs down. Negative. Oh.
Because I keep telling him to get out of here.
It's cute. All right. So this is also, everything that we've looked at so far has been like the very positive side of cookies. Before we get into the nitty gritty, I do want to say that sometimes these are things that can be very bad for users. Yep. Website have a session. Yep. Yep. The thing is, though, if you are not securing these properly, these can be a really big security risk. And these can also be used to do malicious or just annoying things. So, for example, if you go to like look at hotels or to like book an airline, they are going to save. So remember how Sephora had, let me see if I can find it again. Where is it? See how it says S visit? It knows how many times I've visited the site. Do you think if that number is more than one, what does that mean?
You visited a lot?
You
I
visited
visited a
more than
lot.
one time.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean if you keep visiting the same store? Like, what's more likely?
You're gonna buy something.
I'm going to buy something, yeah. So this kind of stuff can be used for good or bad. So, like, for example, airlines will jack up the prices if you continually visit the same site and it has all this information for you. Airplane sites will jack up the price, and it can be like a couple $100. So if you're looking for airplanes, the everything might not be a great time, but that's how they keep track of that kind of stuff. And that's how they do like targeted advertising on websites. So your account does a lot of targeted advertising. So like your Chrome account or your Firefox account does a lot of targeted advertising, but cookies are how websites do it. So like, if like, for example, maybe like instead of, maybe on someone else's thing, this is different. I buy a lot of the sets because I'm, cheap. And so it shows me a lot of these, but maybe for someone who buys a lot more, I don't know, individual lipsticks, that's what they show. So you can do personalized advertising like that. So that's what cookies are for good and bad. And this is what they look like. They're just strings. And you can just set them. So you just write like a front end script and you just say document.cookie equals this. And it pins it on there. So that's how we just write it. It's just part of the document object and it stores information. We can also add expiry dates. One note, the European Union has much more strict rules about this kind of stuff now. It isn't totally implemented in America yet. California has rules about this, but not the rest of America. So it is worth your time to have an understanding of the GDPR. Just something to like put on your like radar of like, I should read about that when I have time. Just so you know what's allowed and what's you're not. Most of it is like you just have to tell your users that you have one. Like, let's see if this will have one. I'm just finding a website to see if it'll have a cookie pop-up one.
I was just going to ask you, those cookie pop-ups that are on like every site now, that's because of a law?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the GDPR is this like Protection Act. I don't remember what it stands for. I'm going to see if this page has one. Here we go. Da, da, da. Yeah, that's fine. Go away. This doesn't have what I want. I'm just seeing if I have a website that has something on it that would have it. I Font Awesome would probably have it. Oh, if you guys want to put logos or stuff on your website, a free Font Awesome account will probably get you there. And they do have free accounts. So, oh, this didn't do what I wanted either. Also, that's my API key, so that's bad for me to share that. Anyways, you guys have all seen that banner. It shows up at the bottom, like, we're going to share your cookies, blah, blah, blah. That's what it's talking about. Is it's storing information about you on, this has one? Okay. Yes, perfect. Okay, let me open that in this guy real fast. Boop, boop. 93. Wow, we talk a lot. Okay. Boop. Maybe it's my computer. But yeah, so this is really nice. This explains everything, 2 things. And yeah. Okay, let me close this and see y'all. That's for them building them too. Yes, this website builds them, which is really nice. This is typically, like this says, used for online tracking, and it gets built with other analytics. Just, very nice. And you can just set it, a lot of times do it, allow all, which is nice. So this is the GDPR. This is a law for the European Union. The reason that we care is twofold. 1, the internet's international, and 2, this legal standing has precedence in the United States. So we care about informing our users of cookies. Because it's the law now. Okay. Boop. Let me close this tab. Okay. So just so you have that in your brain, not vital information, but important to just kind of like have. This is how we read it. It gave us a list. We can change things if you want, but looks like assignment. Not too hard. You can just expire it to a date that has passed if you want to delete it, which might be nice to, let's say, like you do one of those nice borders that lets them not put all their cookies in. You could say, hey, delete them. And then we have this like path variable that just sets it to the root. Display. None. So we can create stuff, display. There we go. We can delete it. Very nice. So fancy. Boop, boop, boop. Here's how we would like dynamically set these things. This finds the name and if it's expired or not. Most of your cookies probably should expire. Just from like a security and a usability standpoint. Here's how we get them. If you want to do, whoopsie, sorry, hit the space bar. If you want to do this, and then notice like, we're going to talk about this decode URI component in just a second, but that's what it's doing, is it's just breaking everything out. And then nice explanation, and then we can check to see if it's set. Then we smoosh them all together. Let's take a look. So then we run it one more time. Now it's set, which is fancy. Okay. So that's the
So this is a way to put cookies in your website to where you can get other people. This is the code for it. Okay. You said something about deleting cookies. There's a way to delete the cookies that you obtain from your website?
Yeah, so you can just expire it.
Okay.
If you need to delete something, you just set it for a time that's already passed. So like for the example, it put a date in like 1970 because that's past.
Okay.
Cool. So what? Let's talk about. Let's talk a little bit about URI and browser search, and then we'll talk about what the difference is. So URI, so a URL is a uniform resource location. A URI is not an infection, even though it sounds like it. It's a uniform resource identifier. So URLs will load pages. A URI finds one specific resource. So a picture, a username, a article. It finds those individual pieces and loads them. We can decode and encode these components in order to safely transmit data. And it's just a function. It's just called decode or encode component. And we can see that it gets used here. It was in the function. Because that's why I was going to talk about it, is because it was in the function. Am I going crazy? I mean, maybe, but no. Okay, here it is. Cool. So we ask it for the document.cookie and it decodes it, and then that gives us back a different format. So instead of one long string, it gives us back, I think, an array. No, it gives us a string, and then we split it on the semicolon. Let's get our formal definition for this function. So we're going to go to MDN probably. Yep. Let's get a formal definition. They want to know. So the encode and decode go hand in hand. They're a handshake. So you decode components that have been encoded from the browser. I don't know why that word disappeared. But yeah, so you just decode things and it tells us whether or not things have been encoded or not. This is good for like handing stuff back and forth, like passwords, otherwise stuff. I guess not passwords necessarily, but for like.
I use it a lot for like things that like when you can't pass a like certain symbols into the URL,
Yes.
you can encode them into their like whatever their like ASCII characters, and you can decode them when you process them on the server. So you can like change it back into like a semicolon or percent, or I mean I think you can pass percents. I don't remember ones, but
Yeah. So that's what this one is doing too. So we have a search query here, and then we have a decode here, which is just a way to do it because we can't really put spaces in a query in like a URL. Yes, that 20% is a space. That's what this is. So then the 28 is this parenthesis, which maybe a URL might not like, but we can hand it in and decode and encode it. So that's another use for it too. I think also ampersands are something that URLs don't like. I could be wrong.
You can do ampersands in URLs. At least I see them in there a lot.
Yeah.
Is it ampersand? I think that's what separates them. Isn't that right? That's what separates like query parameters, I think.
I don't know. Let's go to Google and search for something, and we'll just figure it out. Fluffy dog. Yes, you are correct. Yes.
Yeah, and it's everything after the question mark too. I could never find that on any document anywhere. Your query string is anything after the question mark.
Yep. But notice, all right, let's see. So they've solved it with a plus here because we can't do spaces. Let me see if I can see anything else. This also is a GET request, and so it's handing a bunch of other information too. It also knows my location and what kind of browser I'm using. He's cute though. At the car. But yeah, so that's another thing that we use these encode and decode components for. There are some characters like spaces. I would assume any also non-English characters would probably also need to be encrypted or encoded. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yep. Semicolons, quotation marks, anything like that. It's probably going to throw a fit. I like this JavaScript acrylic. I think that's fancy. Cool. All right. So I just wanted to talk about this decode URI component because we've never have seen it before. But that's all it's saying is if you need to encode a component, some piece of information, whether it's non-English characters, it has spaces in it, you just want to not hand it vanilla and plain, this is how you just use this function. It is not encrypted, and like I kept saying, like encrypted or secret, and it's not. It's just a function that you can call. So it's not encrypted. It's not like secret decoder. It's just switching it from one to the other. We can run these. Cool. Any questions about this piece? You can also go look at the encode ones and see it. No? Okay, cool. So this is going through and showing that, like, it doesn't like the question mark and the semicolon. There we go. Or that we can do the acrylic. I don't know why Russian's so popular for this particular demo, but, there we go. I'm assuming you could also do it with, like, Japanese or Korean or whatever. Cool. All right. So next what I want to talk about is local storage. So cookies are just like, they kind of feel like JSON objects. They're not. They're not JSON objects. They're just strings. And that's why we had to do all that work to parse them out. It's because it's just one big string. That's fine for a lot of things like usernames, location, all that. But browsers also have local storage. So local storage is like session storage, except for local storage will not be deleted until a end user clears their stuff. They go through and clear their storage and their cache and all that. Specific to the protocol, so like you can't access stuff in HTTP and expect it to show up in HTTPS. And we'll talk in depth, like cruciating boringly in depth about all these protocols, hopefully today, but probably tomorrow. Yeah, understanding all the protocols is confusing. Yep. And understanding the difference between local storage, session storage, and cookies can be super confusing. I agree. So we can take a look. Let's go back to Sephora and take a look and see what Sephora has put in my local storage versus my cookies, just because they had a lot of information on me. Oh, I almost really messed up, y'all. Okay. So here we go. Let's take a look. So we're signed in. We got some user data. Here's my basket, my applied value. I don't know what CBR is. Can I see it? Let me see it. The string is too large to edit. So that's very big if I can't edit it. We got my loves data. I don't know what that means. Oh, I think that means the stuff that I've liked on Sephora that's saved in my local storage. What else? Device IDs, the last displayed trigger timers. So I could probably like reset this and then it would probably give me like a new prompt for like a sale or something. Here's my basket, how much a percentage off. So I wonder if I could edit that and save some earth money. Probably not. It'd probably just throw an error. Additional loaded in, I don't know what this Inside Sephora thing is. I think that's their insider program, but I don't know. Yeah, so the thing is, like, these are all accessible, and the other thing is a lot of this data is not encrypted. And so I have a interesting news story to tell y'all about saving other monies. What's the difference between local storage and cookies? Okay, so it's about persistence and what kind of stuff gets put in and format. And I have a whole article about what's the difference too. So we can take a look at that. But these are local storage is the JSON object versus our cookies are just a string one. And our applications are different. So cookies are for server side, local storage is only client side, and local storage gives you more stuff to do. So excellent question. And so cookies are for talking to the server, like login information, all that kind of stuff. Local storage is just for your client. So like the server doesn't really need to know how many like different kinds of lipsticks I've put little hearts on, but the Sephora website showing me that again is useful. The cookies being set to tell the server I'm still logged in, however, is something that the server needs to know, and it's very useful. How do you set local storage? I think you access the JSON object, yeah, set item. And it kind of looks like setting just a new thing in like an object. So we can do this. We can go to Sephora, and we can do this. And then we can do, yep. Can I run this again? No. Do. Cat. My cat, there he is. So yeah, so that's how we set it. It has a function called set item. I think this is also how you update stuff. So if I wanted to update, ooh, look at this. This one actually might be really cool to play with. Let's see something here. Come on, let me edit this. Come on, let me edit it. Okay. So is constructor A/B test enabled? So I'm going to change it right now, and let's see how the website changes. Oops, haha, I misspelled true. That's so sad. All right, that's sad, y'all. Oh, it won't let me overwrite it. So sad. But yeah, so that's what local storage is set for. And local storage also is persistent. So it will stay as long as a client is operating on the same browser because it's local. So if I switch over to like Firefox, it won't know because it's not in local storage. Cool. So excellent questions. I do recommend reading this whole article. It's not very long, 3-minute read. It breaks all these things down. Recommend it. So that's how JavaScript saves different kinds of information for, well, I guess on a user is more apt. So cookies are used for saving information that needs to go back to the server. Stuff like username. Are you logged in? Do you have stuff in your shopping basket? Local storage. Oh, and also cookies are a string. Local storage is a persistent storage that exists on the client side for saving client information, like sales promotions, information that they've set. Like maybe what comes to mind is Twitter lets you change the color. That's probably something that's saved in local storage. Then we have URIs, which are resource identifiers, and we can use that to hand in things like spaces, special characters, or to just hand in information that like we need to have formatted a certain way. So, any questions about storage? Because otherwise I got a question for y'all. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so that makes more sense now, because I think a lot of people I think that maybe there was confusion before this course about the difference between cookies and cache, because we go and delete them a lot of times. So cookies is on the server side where they're keeping things for you.
It's still on the client side. It's just used to talk to the server.
You use it to talk to the server, okay? And the local storage is stuff that kind of helps you, the client, when they go back to the site.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then you said URIs. That's another storage.
These are just a way to identify stuff. So they're not necessarily storage. It's just a way to identify resources or to ensure formatting.
Identify resources or ensure from. Okay. All right. For these, is it a way to? Okay, you said it's a way to identify resources or specific formatting for the website or for the client or for the cookies?
For like handing into URLs, or if you are going to switch over to a different standard. So emails use a different standard than websites. So if you have like a special character, like an accent over an E or even just a space, and you try to put that into an email without encoding it, it'll do weird stuff.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing with that. And so it could be for the client, it could be to send an email, it could be to post it as a request. It just depends.
Okay. I can understand it.
Cool. Yeah. And then Haley asks, are cookies why we get targeted ads and local storage is how a website keeps items in our cart? Yeah, so local storage tells us more information that doesn't have to talk to the server. So, like keeping items in your cart is targeted ads tend to work because of something else. Cookies do help with it, but they're only a part of it. So targeted ads typically happen because of your account that you're logged into. So I think I showed you guys this before. I am logged into a Chrome account, and so all of my targeted ads is due to this. You still get targeted ads due to other things going on, but a lot of it is Google services, especially because of YouTube. That being said, cookies do help with this. Yes, exactly. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. I like looking at how these things change on a cruiser bicycle. Yeah. I think it's also weird how much they know. I do want a home swimming pool, sauna, and spa. Cool. All right. So excellent. So this again, like, isn't like formal, like things that like you really need to know, but they are, like pieces that can really help you understand why, and like it can help you set up other stuff. Cool. All right. So let's get started with this, and then we'll take our break, and then we'll talk about VirtualBox. Is the goal. So this is talking a little bit more about like what do you do once you actually get a development job. Your first couple days are going to be just like setting up your environment so it matches everyone else. This includes like setting up your hardware. Maybe you're going to use an operating system you're not used to. Maybe you're going to use like the enterprise versions of tools that we've used in this class. So like there's a service called Bitbucket. It's basically GitHub but sucky. Or IntelliJ, which is another IDE. It's just fancier. I like IntelliJ. It's nice. Build processes like what we kind of talked about with NPM scripts and that kind of stuff. And then documentation tools like Jira, which is just a paid version of Trello with a little bit more integration. So that's what you'll spend a lot of time doing. And like if you're struggling with a tool, like don't feel bad about it. You know, just accept that that's just how it would be. Because if you don't get something set up right, like I once had a Bitbucket repo that like I destroyed. I don't know what I did to it. I don't know what I tangled up, but like it literally took me and one of my supervisors like sitting down and deleting everything and restarting. So, you know, it's okay. Because Bitbucket doesn't work exactly like GitHub and I just didn't know. And so there's some syntax stuff and I totally borked everything. The other big thing is when working with teams is like things have to be consistent. And so you have to have a little bit of flexibility in order to work in a new system. I'm a Linux and Mac person. Like, you know, my main machine's an Ubuntu and then my baby Mac is a Mac. So like when I do development in Windows, I'm like, none of the buttons do what I want. And, you know, I just suck it up and do it. There are problems with trying to use different environments, which is why we do things like virtualization. Because like my computer runs differently than a Windows machine. My Ubuntu runs differently than my Mac or my Windows machine. And so like, for example, like there are no games that run on Mac. They just don't. And so if I wanted to do something like that, I would have to run a Windows VM. So a VM is a virtual machine. And so what that means is it's kind of like we're going to put a little like computer on my computer. That's what we're going to be doing. I can do like online games. I can play Neopets, but like an actual like game on my computer, I can't play. Like, also this is, so 2 side notes. One, they say Portal 2 runs on the new version of Mac, and it does not. And Steam puts it in all their advertisement, and that makes me very salty. Thing 2, I think Shuella said something about setting prices for someone else. So recently, this dude in Tennessee hacked into the food stamps database. I don't know what it's called, like the welfare stuff. Like, he hacked into the whole system and approved everyone's applications and sent them all out cards. I'm like, you do it, man. Take it into your own hands. So, yeah. Right? Like, you hacked into this government system and, like, you had access to all this data and you just helped people. Like, way to be a good dude. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare to have to untangle everything and get it all fixed. He currently has a $100,000 bail, and they have not found him yet. But yeah, that was just, when you said that, it reminded me of that. And that's, like a news story that's going on right now. Because, like, the thing is like, he decided to do something nice. But, like, I've been inside those systems. No, it was recently. It was, like, I think last month, I think. Yeah. It could be that this is a repeat offender too, but like, I've been inside those systems. They have everything. Like, I've seen entire families, social security numbers, addresses, where everybody works, medical allergies. Like, those welfare systems have a lot of info. And so this dude got into it and had access to payment, social security numbers. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and like a lot of it now is you get a little card. And so it's like a credit card, but it's like a government credit card. But yeah. So, security is super important because like, he did something nice. Nah, probably not. He's probably going to go to jail. But like, with that kind of access to that kind of information, like, he could have made out like a bandit. Like, that kind of information is so valuable. So yeah, so if you're working with that kind of data, so I have a slight question before we start talking about virtual machines. Whose responsibility is security?
Backend?
Okay, that's a guess. Everyone. Yep. Everyone. So your front-end developers, your back-end developers, your QA people, your project managers, everybody. Because so here's the thing, like, your back-end people are the people who maintain the information. But like, if your front-end engineers do really good, what's QA again? Quality assurance. So they do stuff like they write tests, they do documentation, they do integration, regression, all that kind of stuff. That's what QA does. So yeah, a little bit of a thing, but I thought it was a very interesting, relevant news story. So, he did something nice, but if you're working with that kind of information, it can go very bad very quickly. Cool. So I want to talk about what a virtual machine is, and then I'm going to show you some things. Yeah, me too. I think it's nice that he did that. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he gets into like a jury, the jury's probably not going to do anything. A lot of times, though, they're like, it doesn't matter if it was moral. Just, it's a crime to break into a system, which is, true. Like, he still committed a crime. But, we'll see. We'll see. Cool. So this picture describes what is going on when we use a virtual machine. Yeah, there's been all sorts of stories of like people hacking into systems to do good things and still getting in trouble for it. personally. I don't understand why more people don't hack Sally Mae and just mess with them. Maybe not even like breaking things, but just like, you know, DDoSing their site or something. Anyways, drop table student loans. You do, ZZ. You know how to read code and you know how to read documentation. Like, I'm not encouraging you to do bad things, but like, the only difference between like top level hackers is some luck and dedication. Anyways, don't do illegal things. Thanks. Okay, yes, it is recorded. Please don't do illegal things. That's my personal recommendation. Cool. So virtual machines are a tool for us to use other kind of operating systems. And this is really useful for testing software that we don't want on our actual computer. It's very useful for testing different kinds of software on different operating systems. So like, for example, my Mac behaves differently than a Windows machine. So I might want to put a virtualization of another flavor on there. Different operating systems have different stuff built into it. So hopefully my goal is I'm going to show you guys how to use Kali today. It will be like the most base level stuff. Yep, sandbox stuff. It used to be the only way you could sandbox stuff without having a second computer. And what that means is like if you're building something and you're not sure if it's going to break resources that you don't want it to touch, you can put it in a virtual machine and it won't touch your actual computer. So your hardware is like your actual computer, like the actual like motherboard and CPU. Yeah, if you downloaded something questionable, if you're building something that's going to touch stuff that you don't really want it to touch on your operating system, anything like that, you can put it in a little container. Or like, you know, maybe like you do security work and you got a copy of a virus and you want to look at the code and understand what it's doing, you could put it inside a virtual machine and it wouldn't touch the rest of your network. So your hardware is like your actual physical device. So your CPU, your motherboard, your card, all of that stuff. Then you have a host or a hypervisor or some kind of management thing. We're going to use VirtualBox because it's free. It's also pretty industry standard. Like VMware is, I think, what most enterprise people use, but VirtualBox is wonderful. Irene ZZ's house shopping now. And then all of these are just little tiny, oops, that's the wrong mouse, are little tiny virtual machines that run on.
I forgot I have the camera on.
Are running on here. I don't know what I have on here. I don't know if I have one that works. I'm going to try to show you guys how to set one up also. I will say this is a note, not a hard and fast rule. I have a feeling that this is going to be less prevalent in the future due to things like Docker and Kubernetes, which we'll talk about later this week. But it's still, I think, important to run and know. Okay, does that turn it on? I don't remember. Failed it. Okay, it's fine. I don't know. Do I have to just hit this start? It might not work. I might have deleted the base file for this. Yes, okay, I deleted the base file for that, so it's not going to work. That's okay. This is what it looks like, and you can start new ones. I have a Raspberry Pi one and an Ubuntu one on here, but you can put whatever you want. I'm going to walk you through setting it up. I don't know if it's going to work because I was playing with it for a couple minutes and it wasn't working. Anything else I want to talk about with this? Oh, there's also this tool called Vagrant, which is pretty popular. I don't use it personally, But what this does is it, yeah, give me an intro. This is like a tool to manage all of this stuff. I have a Pi virtual machine. Yep, yep, yep. This helps set up a bunch of stuff. It does imaging and engineering and all that kind of stuff for you. Vagrant's cool. I would probably put the work to just learn Docker. Raspberry Pi is a tiny computer. Yeah. And so like it doesn't have an operating system on it. It's just a computer that you can like custom build stuff on. It's good for small projects. Cool. So Vagrant's there. There's the docs for it. Okay, I don't want to. Honestly, I would probably spend more time with like Docker or something. Yes, you can load an operating system on it. It just doesn't come with one by default. Yeah, you can build like a lot of people like to build like Game Boy or Atari simulators on them, all sorts of fun stuff. Or you can use it to help manage your network. You can use it for all sorts of stuff. Yep, ad blocking on your network. Yep, yep, yep. Which is nice. All right. And then this is a little bit more in depth about what a virtual machine is. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to switch over to my other computer and then just have this open so I can read the chat. Okay, so I'm going to switch here. If I could find it. Yep. Okay. All right. So I'm going to open up. I've switched over. I'm on my Ubuntu machine now because I want to show you guys. VirtualBox and all that. That's what it looks like. See, there's nothing. I don't have anybody on here. I'm going to try to set up Kali Linux on it, but we'll see. I couldn't get it to behave before, but I'm optimistic. I wonder if I need to move it in here. So what it's doing right now is it's asking me to say what it is. We're going to try this. This is asking how much memory I want to allocate for it. You can set it up higher or you can leave it. I can ask it to create a virtual hard drive. That's fine. These are all these different kind of things. I think this is why it didn't work before, so I'm going to try that. This is important if you are running a smaller machine. Like if my Ubuntu is like a Big Mac Daddy, so I can let it dynamically allocate and take as much space as it wants because I have a ridiculous amount of space on this one. Actually, I can see this too, so I'm going to log off on this one. Just that way Baby Mac stops screaming at me. But if you have a small machine, you want to do a fixed size. Okay. Yep. Go. Okay. So then what I want to do is go here, I think. No. I don't know. Let's start it and see what happens. I don't think this is going to work. Okay, cool. Details. Okay. Because I need to mount the system in here. Oh wait, am I done? There we go. Okay. Other Linux. Is there another Linux 64-bit? Invalid settings. I know this is lots of fun, but this is just how it be sometimes. Okay, so it says hardware virtualization is enabled in the acceleration, but I turned it on. All right, do I not know how to read? None? Is that what you want? Mm. It's very sad that I don't know how to read. Sometimes you have to set the boot disk up, but I don't remember how to. Base memory. No, that's not it. Yeah, and you can set parental controls with other things too, like a lot of networking devices now, like routers and all that, will let you do that too. So it just depends. All right, I'm gonna remove this and start over. Delete. All right. I don't know. I don't know why it's being so ornery. In the case I have a Genius kit, yeah, it just depends. Make this a Linux, and I think it's also going to be unhappy with me because also I have a 64-bit stuff, so I might have to, yeah. So we're going to go here. We're going to go here. I want this one. We're going to wait, 5 minutes. I doubt it, but we're going to try that. Yep, you can create a new account, monitor it as admin, yeah. I will say personal experience, what tends to work the best is explaining why they shouldn't be on those things and explaining that, they're risky rather than just being like, no. But it also depends on your kid. Like if your kid's a brat and they won't listen to reason, then just say no. But when I've worked with kids, it tends to be a lot more effective to be like, hey, you can't go on these sites because they put you at danger. That's a little bit more coherent than just saying no. But, some kids are brats, so it just depends. All right, let's go ahead and do our break because this is going to take a minute to set up. It says it has a couple minutes. Yeah, kids always listen to other people too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not perfect too. Yeah, yep. All right, so let's go ahead and do our break. We will come back at 2:45 because I want to give this plenty of time to download. And hopefully we can get it started up. Because if it's just because I've downloaded the wrong file, hopefully it'll be pretty easy to set it up. We shall see. All right, other than that, I will see you guys back at 2:45.
Okay, bye.
wait for the build process.
Are you presenting?
Quality of life things stay excellent. I'm glad. Yeah. A lot of learning quality of life coding things are like going through doing it poorly a bunch of times and then learning. All right. Let's take a look. Okay, so Buongiorno build succeeded. Okay. All right. Let's open it. Success. Okay. Heroku is backend. So Heroku, setting up the Heroku piece, doing this is going to be your backend developer job. Because Heroku, you're going to set up the database and you're going to set up all this stuff. And then your front end person is just going to write all the code that would go here, the validation. So your back end and your front end people work pretty closely together. But like your back end person is going to be the person who owns the Heroku stuff. So then now like you guys can go to the Heroku site and it's just here. It just works. You can do whatever you want. It's free. So like, you can maybe name it melt something down, like Buongiorno. You used to not be able to name it. You used to just auto-generate. Hello. This is me live today.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I got my dad jokes ready.
All right, give me your dad jokes.
Awesome. So, what's the difference between a dad joke and a bad joke?
It's a parent.
The first letter.
That was funny.
Okay. I got more. So, what do you call a guy with a rubber toe?
I don't know.
Give up.
Yes.
Oh man, Haley got it. I just saw it. Oh, yes. It's
what?
Roberto. The answer was Roberto. Haley got it. Okay, so I accidentally dropped my pillow on the floor. I think I have a concussion.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
So
I got one more.
Okay.
Okay, I got a hen to regularly count her own eggs. She's a real math chicken.
Oh.
That was bad.
Yeah, that was
That was
real
real bad. I don't know, Christina, what's the answer to your pun?
My friend told me the only thing funny about my dad jokes is the fact that I think they're funny.
Yeah, I must agree.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna remove this. I don't want to spend too much time doing this because it's not like vital. Hello, let me delete it. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cancel. Remove. Remove. Delete. Let's see. So it is 2:48. If I can't get like significant progress by 3, we're just gonna bounce to the next thing. But if we can, great. All right. Use Callie on virtual box. Okay. All right. Let me do. I'm gonna open up this so I can see the chat real fast. Give me just a second to get set up. Join. And then let me make sure it's all muted and all that. Mute. Go. Go. Okay, there we go. So now I can see the chat still, please. Yes. Cool. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
Oh man, I just found mommy jokes. Oh my god, there's a mom joke. Oh yes. I'm gonna do those tomorrow. I'm gonna do mom jokes tomorrow. Add some flavor.
Confusion. Okay. Do I not have the ISO image? Da, 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 da. No, none of these are ISO images. Huh.
Wash it before you put it on. I had 3 coughing fits today.
Okay.
Is that your mask or was that Michelle's mask? That was yours. You gave it to me today. This one, yeah. Oh, that's
Okay,
Michelle's.
this one says ISO. Okay, so the reason we weren't making any progress is because I think I had the the VMware flavor setup, not the ISO one, which is tragic because that means we have to download this. Tragic. I guess while this goes, I might talk a little bit about, yeah, so that's going to take a couple minutes. So I'm going to skip around just a teensy tiny bit. Oops.
Hey, I need you to drive home.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
So we talked about Heroku yesterday. Do you guys have any other questions?
Yeah, I keep getting an error. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm gonna talk to hardcore since you don't answer no questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah. I
good.
think I'm gonna need to do Google Meets to see what the error is.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I guess while that downloads, yeah. Let me see the other Chrome tab.
Stop. Yeah.
We still got a couple minutes, so I'm gonna just talk a little bit about the server stuff while we wait for this to download. So most servers are some kind of Linux flavor. You got a whole bunch of different stuff like CentOS, you get Mint. There's like 1,000,000,007 Linux flavors. That being said, like if you can use a Mac, you can use Linux. They're the same thing, except for like my bars over here. Like I don't even know if you guys notice when I switch over from my Ubuntu computer to my Mac. They're pretty much the same. Especially now, like in like the late 90s, it was very different to use a Mac or a Linux machine or a Windows. But they're all getting pretty similar now, so it's not super hard. The reason that a lot of server implementations are done with Linux is because it's free and open source. So you can get a bunch of free tools that most of the internet works on. So again, like we talked a little bit about tech stacks the end of last week, I think, and how there's this thing called a LAMP stack, which stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. That's what most of the internet's made with. And it's because it's free and open source. There are distros, also distributions tends to get shortened to distros. So if you see like a Linux distro, it stands for what flavor of operating system on Linux is this. This one right here is Ubuntu. That's what I'm playing with. And then hopefully we'll get Kali, just so you guys can see another one. Mint is really popular. CentOS is really popular. Red Hat is really popular. All of that. Those are built for specific things, and there are some paid versions of Linux, like Gail was talking about. Like Red Hat is an operating system that you pay for, just like how you typically pay for Windows. Red Hat is a operating system that you pay for. All right. Any questions? And I think Gail did a really good job of talking about Linux, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Do you have any Linux questions? There's also this resource. It's from linux.com, and it goes through in depth about all of these pieces. Yes, you can use Linux on a virtual box. That's what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you Kali on a virtual box. So we'll hope. So this goes through all of these operating system things. I did share with you the book. If you really want to learn more about operating systems, there's that textbook I gave you guys like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. Yeah, me either. I wonder if it's because I'm doing it from an Ubuntu and I don't know how to read. I'm going with it's mostly my inability to read is why it's hard. I don't think it's actually hard to do. I think I just don't know how to read. It's very sad.
I thought you was a speed reader. I thought you were a speed reader.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't actually like land.
Okay.
I'm a speed reader, not a speed understander.
Okay.
So this just goes through in depth about like what all of these things are. We got our daemons that run things, like printers, sounds, all that kind of stuff. Graph stuff, like so remember, not all operating systems have a GUI. Like a lot of operating systems are just like a terminal, and that's it. And then we get all of our applications. Exciting. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, I do recommend reading it and spending time with it. Yeah, so here we go. So Mint, this is what my brother uses. He uses Mint. He really likes it. Manjaro was what Gail was showing us. I'm running in Ubuntu right now. Fedora is very popular. And then here's all the enterprise ones like CentOS and Red Hat. Okay, let's see if it's downloaded yet. Yes. Okay, open it. I don't know if I need to. Are we good? Okay, let's take a look. Go here. New. This one? I like that it's his little foot. That amuses me.
You're easily entertained.
I am very easily entertained. All right. And also, I feel like it's not creating the virtual hard disk, and I don't know why. Like that. Go. Because it's not putting the iOS image on there is the issue. Okay. We downloaded the iOS image. Let's actually read the instructions, y'all. I know I'm not great at it. We're going to just follow the instructions. Here. Go over here. Okay. Okay, that looks right. Okay. Let's bump him up. Okay, that's a little bit too big. Ooh, perfect, right on them. Okay. Okay, yep, I want to create one. Create a VDI. Okay. We want to dynamically allocate it. Okay. Settings. General, advanced. Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's going to be very helpful. So this setting, what I've changed right now, is, yeah, I've been trying to start it. It's saying that we haven't set up the virtual hard drive correctly, and so it keeps throwing a hissy fit, and that's why it won't start correctly. What I've done here is if you're running a virtual machine and you don't change the settings, you are not able to copy paste from virtual machine to your regular operating system or click things back and forth. So this setting makes it easier to interact with your virtual machine. Okay, see, I keep getting this virtual acceleration thing. Go to here. We're going to turn that off so I don't have a floppy disk. Here we go. This is the setting I was looking for. How do I change it? Can I just click and drag it? I just want the ISO image. Yes, you go here. You go here. All right, this is rude. Okay, so it's just in my downloads folder. Okay. All right, Progresso. I still don't know why this. Okay, we gotta hit start. So let's fix this issue. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna Google it. Figure it out. Okay. Because right now, none of the settings are in here. This is for Windows. I know this is ripping stuff. I was expecting this to be an easy demo, and I was wrong. I don't want to change the BIOS settings. Are you kidding me? All right, I'm gonna give it one more college try because the issue is it won't save any of that because it's having this invalid settings issue, so I can't change anything. So there's no disk image, so there's no operating system. All right, I'm gonna change one more setting. Let me edit this. Oh, can I do it here? Okay, can I cheat it open? Is that gonna work? Nope. Okay, all right, well, another unsuccessful demo. All right, it looks like Ubuntu has some weird stuff going on about how it wants to handle, what do you call it? Virtualization, which is real annoying. Okay, so then, I don't want to waste too much time though, so, it's whatevs, I suppose. Open this one. Okay. Boop. There we go. All right. So that was annoying. I was hoping that it would be cool and we could like go through and have a cool demo, but it said no. Okay. So, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna have a meltdown, y'all. I just want to be able to like have my screen. There we go. Okay. So I need to plug in my monitor into this so I can have my two screens back. Anyways, it's not supposed to be that hard. You're supposed to just be able to download VirtualBox, download a machine image, and load it, and it's supposed to just work. Okay, cool. Good to know. Yeah, it's been raining a lot. And like I was like, man, it's been raining a lot. And yeah, it's rainforest season. And like, the boy was like, no, it hasn't been raining that much. So I went and looked it up, and I was like, no, I was right. It's rained 3 inches more in the month of July than it does on average. Anyway, so theoretically, all you have to do is go in, you set up VirtualBox, you get an ISO image, you click and drag the ISO image, and hit go. Yep. Hey, listen, I was wearing my white sneakers when I went to the doctor today. I did not walk through the grass. Guaranteed. So yeah, lots of fun. So if you guys can play with it and have fun with it and all that, I'll try to do it on my regular Mac because I think all of that will work. That's a dog for you. The dirt's fine. It doesn't feel weird on her feet. Okay, so I'm going to move on from our glaring failure. That's okay, though. Tomorrow I might try to do it on my Mac and see. If we can get it to work, because I do want to show it to you. It's pretty cool, and like it can be a really wonderful way to test stuff. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's okay. So next what I want to talk to you guys is about is Apache. So Apache is a server software, and it does a lot of handling things. Like it does like paths, and it just like sets stuff up for us. This is, oops, I clicked it too many times. This is something I recommend learning, and yeah, dirty school bus, yep. This is something I recommend reading and spending time with. There's Apache everywhere. This is their website. This is how to download it. This is all their stuff. It's free. So this is what it is. 40% of the internet, man. And notice it does HTTP. And so if you need to do HTTPS, you have to do something a little bit different. This does like hosting, Nginx. They're both like just, they do all of the like, someone sends your server a request and it finds the actual resource and it puts onto it. Most of the time you use Apache and Nginx together, so that way they're working together. We also talk about databases run differently than a regular server. We have email servers and all that. File servers are an older way of doing these things, but we don't typically use them as much. We use web servers now. So it's software, it's not an actual server, even though it's called server, it's just software. And it does the file handling. So it feels kind of like silly, I think, on like a level, especially like the way that we interact with the internet now. The idea that a server doesn't just do this, I think can be kind of weird. But basically, like, Apache is a way to make web servers behave how we expect them to. Like when we go to a website, we have to find a way to make it work how we expect it to work. Most of the time, Nginx and Apache are used together to handle both of the problems because Nginx isn't perfect by itself and Apache isn't perfect by itself, but you use both of these. Which is nice. I don't know how many people use Tomcat. Java applications, yeah. No one. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anybody who uses it. Less configurable, yeah, like if you want to do WordPress, you're going to be using Nginx. Running your web server with Apache can be problematic. So you guys remember the Equifax breach? You guys remember this? Nope. Yep. Eons ago? No? Okay. All right. So we got some no's. So let me talk about what this is because we got a couple no's, and then I'll talk about what this has to do with Apache. Equifax is one of the credit reporting industries. There's like Equifax and like two others. They're the people who decide what your credit history is and what your credit score is. That's their job. Equifax had a data breach at the end of 2017, and they handled it horrifically. They made every single poor decision a company can make. They are literally like the bane of what not to do.
Well, at least everybody else learned something from it.
Yes. They irritated they even exist still. Yeah. Uh-huh. you didn't give them permission to profile your financial status. Yeah, and a lot of people feel that same way. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I will probably hit on this next week in depth when we do our security stuff. If you are interested in a play-by-play of what happened, I recommend the podcast Breach. And they did like 6 episodes on the Equifax stuff. And it's a very in-depth look at all of this stuff. Yeah, they control your whole financial life, and they brutally messed up and made a huge mistake. Also, this is why you also check your credit reports. Most credit cards will give you your credit report for free. Do they still control? Yes. So Equifax lost the personal information of 150 million people, and they are still in business. The CEO of the company got to retire with a pension that will be more money than we will ever make in our lifetime. Yeah, listen to the podcast. I recommend it. They did a bunch of stuff that was really horrible. They handled a lot of things really badly. You don't get a choice. So individual people like us don't get to decide where our information goes. Equifax and the other 2 credit reporting bureaus respond to like landlords and that kind of stuff. But yeah, highly recommend it. Anyways, so 150 million people's personal information got exposed. And this changes how does credit history get reported, how, like, this affects you getting jobs, this affects you getting housing, this affects you getting into school. If you want a government job and your credit score's messed up, you will not get it. Like, your credit is really important, and they messed up majorly. And the reason that it happened is there's this thing called Apache Struts, which is just a little piece of software that helps things run, and they didn't update it. So all of this happened because of one thing not getting updated. So this is why DevOps is so important. This is why security protocols are so important. And then also, like, they just did like a really like bad job of handling it. Like, they made a new website for handling things instead of just like, typically when you add a new thing to your site, you just do like a /. And so, like, see here, it's host tutorials, what is Apache? What would have happened if the company crashed? I don't know. There are still the other 2 credit branch bureaus. So I don't know. That's a really good question though, but I don't know. Yeah, basically they didn't care.
TransUnion.
Yeah, TransUnion. Yep, and then the other one. I don't remember what the other one is, but there's 3. Yeah, the other thing that really like tickled me about this whole thing is they made a website with a URL that didn't match any of their other stuff. And then this dude made a copy of it in a couple minutes, because you guys have seen it's not too hard to like set up stuff like that. You know, like if I gave you a website, you guys could probably remake it. And the more you do that, the faster you're going to get at it. So this dude remade the company and remade the website, and Equifax tweeted the wrong link and went to the fake website that people's social security numbers were being put in. They did not handle it well. Anyways, point being, Apache is open source software. If you do not keep it updated, you will have breaches, because this is such a big attack vector. Yes, and there's just not. But yeah. But Apache Struts is a part of Apache. They didn't update it. What happened to, I don't know what this is. Oh, to the social security numbers, they're just out there. 150 million of people just have their stuff just out there.
Floating around.
Yeah, just, I mean, like, so all of my personal data is compromised because all of my data got breached when the government jobs. Yeah, people do. Lots of people do, and there's been a huge uptick in it since then. And like, so you can do things like LifeLock. You can do things like Credit Karma. Like, but yeah, identity theft happens. I've had my credit card stolen. Get you a good bank.
LifeLock? Like when your
What is
information got
LifeLock?
compromised.
Hmm? Yeah, like they just sell them. Yep, credit card numbers, all sorts of stuff. Get you a good bank. Get you a bank that's going to go to bat for you. But LifeLock is a service that helps prevent that kind of stuff, but more important, it's kind of a form of insurance. So if something bad does happen, they help you recover from it, which is why I recommend getting a good bank too. So technically, I am eligible for 2 free years of credit monitoring with LifeLock because I have been in multiple breaches. I do not have LifeLock though because I manually check my credit once a month. So I already do credit monitoring. So there's no point in me paying for another service to credit monitor. If you do not manually monitor your credit, or you have like a mortgage or kids or something, it's probably a good idea to have some kind of service like that. But I personally don't have it. Oh, also, by the way, because this happened to my grandmother because she has LifeLock, they are not going to call you to tell you you have a bill. So they tried to scam my grandma by saying they were LifeLock and that they were going to lock her out of her account if she didn't pay money. So that's not something they do. Okay, so point being, this open source thing does have flaws. Yeah, you do use your Social Security for all sorts of stuff. You use it for like if you're on like Medicare or Medicaid, you use it, or like if you're on TRICARE, you use your Social Security number for your health care. You use it for part of your job applications. Like it's still used a lot, even though we know it's a lot less secure. It's still, there's just no other system in place for it. So. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, it's super insecure. Yep. Yeah. And that's the other thing is their area code and year specific. And so like, if you know when I was born and that I was born in Hawaii, like you can guess like 2/3 of my social security number. I'm not technically Hawaiian. I was born in Hawaii. Yeah, and then there's only 4 numbers. Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah, and that's the thing is like some people take it really seriously and try, and then some people don't. So, also one more security rant, very briefly. We'll talk about this more in depth next week when we do our security stuff. When you make decisions that compromise your security, you are also compromising the security of everyone around you. So your family, your friends, your neighbors, anybody who's on the same network as you, like your work, you are compromising that entire ecosystem when you make poor security decisions. So even if like it's very hard for me to care because all of my information's been compromised so much. It's very hard for me to care. But if I do not do a good job of protecting my personal information, it can be used against other people. Like, if they have all of my information, it's probably going to be really easy to get my mom's stuff or like my boyfriend's stuff, because we're all so connected. So even if you don't care about your security, you put other people at risk when you make poor security decisions. And that's just your information. If you're in charge of someone else's information, you need to be careful with it, whether professionally or personally. Cool. We will talk a lot about security next week. I'll give you guys some stuff to break and hack and play with and to understand how all those systems work. I don't know why I put World Wide Web here. We talked about it in depth. Do you guys have any question about what operating systems are, what a server is, what Apache is, or like how that's different than like just a computer?
I'm still a little foggy, but I guess setting it up and using it. But I guess the operating system is what you actually use on the computer. You know, the server I get is like where you kind of store data back and forth. It communicates right from the client side into the websites, like database and information files and all that. And then Apache is where I'm kind of like,
Yeah, and so what is Apache? How do I set it up? What do I use it? Those are all really good questions. I'm going to switch over to my other computer, and I'm going to log into my server, and we'll take a look. Take a look. So, yeah, I know. I sing when I'm reading. It's very sad. This one. When we build a system out, when we build a server out, it's just a computer. And so we have to have some kind of software, some kind of program set up so that way a user can put a URL in and it will go and find that resource. Apache is already running on Mac and Linux. If it's a server system that you have it set up that way, but it does not ship by default with them. But typically, like if you're using a Linux machine, you've put Apache on it. So I'm just going to my server just so I can show you Apache and Nginx and all that. So if you just make a server, it's just a computer. It doesn't have any inherent way to route traffic. And you guys have actually kind of done this in your stuff. These two lines right here are kind of like what Apache does, or one facet of Apache. There's other stuff Apache does, but like you ask it for a path, I guess just this line actually, and you ask it for a path and then it gives it to you. So you're like, here you go. Hi, client has asked for this web page. Please serve this web page. And that's kind of what Apache does. Let's see if we can get it to log in. And then this is also Ubuntu. Whoa, that's weird. Okay. So this, it runs in Ubuntu. I could like log all my services through the CLI if I wanted to, but I wanted to show you guys stuff. So I don't care. One of these days, I'm going to actually fix all those certs. Not today, but one of these days. Okay. So you guys have seen this a couple times now, so I want to show you this. Again, Apache and Nginx tend to work together because Apache doesn't work for huge sets of clients. And that's kind of how we expect stuff to run now. So it's just a piece of software that runs on your server, just like how I have, GitHub and other stuff running on my server. This is just running on here, and I get to use all this stuff. So it handles MIME types, which are file types. So it says, hey, if I get this kind of file, what do I do with it? And it'll do it for us. Deny access, if we want to blacklist people, we can do that. Where do we want our index to be? Do we want to set stuff up to expire? Is there anything else that we need to do? And then we can do additional directives too, which is cool. So Apache is like big picture responsible for making your server behave like a website. That's big picture what Apache does. And it's a piece of software that gets put on your server. Do we currently have sites that blacklist people? Yeah. So blacklisting means that your IP address will not be allowed to reach a server. Typically, the only people who get blacklisted are like hackers and people who try to DDoS and that kind of stuff. I've had to blacklist people before. Because I was running an e-commerce site and people kept trying to DDoS my site, and so I just would keep adding all their stuff to my list until they left me alone. And then here's Nginx. Nginx handles the big picture stuff. Yeah, they could block your IP. They try to blacklist VPNs. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's actually like not too hard. So like if you're on a network with somebody, it's really easy for them to figure out your IP address, and then they could just do it. That being said, this is a little bit of a tangent and a side note, but I do think it's interesting. So my server has this IP address. That is its IP address. It will never change unless like I shut down the system and do a new one. But my IP address where I live will change because I have Comcast. And Comcast does dynamically allocating IP addresses. So what that means is my IP address will change. Not a lot, but it's cheaper to not book me out a specific IP address. And so this can be challenging if you're developing leasing versus owning. Exactly. Yeah. And so like I own that IP address. It'll get your account banned for sure. Yeah. So if you are setting up stuff and trying to whitelist your IP address and you are using a internet service provider and you know that you need to put your IP address on the server in order to have a connection, you need to call your internet service one and you need to request a static IP address. They'll charge you more for it. But like I've worked jobs where like I've had to SSH into a server and it's only the whitelisted IP addresses are allowed to SSH. DNS services are nice if you want to set them up on a home server or residential connection. Yeah, exactly. Dynamic DNS. Yep. And it just reroutes it, and so you get a paid thing, and then yeah. Yep. Yes, exactly. It is probably not a big concern. The only reason I bring it up is because I have personally had to deal with it. They don't change a lot, but just be aware that if you are using it, it might change. Cool. So does that help clear it up? Do we feel a little bit better about Apache?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily a piece that you really foundationally have to understand. And like if you're making a small thing with Node handles some of that routing. So you might not super need it. It just depends on what you're doing. And then ZZ asks, what happens if a site catches someone trying to blacklist people? Sites blacklist people. That's how it works. So servers have Apache specifically, or Nginx, has a list of things that are not allowed to access the server. What happens if someone from that IP address tries to get into that system? They get one of the errors. I think it's 403. I think you get a 403 error. You get the forbidden error. If it's found out that someone is inside of your system, just adding people arbitrarily to the blacklist, you got a really big security breach on your hands and you got a lot to take care of to fix it. Yes, you might have bigger problems. Correct. Oh, I did want to show you two things really quickly on this computer. One, if you want to clear your cache, clearing browsing data, you can just do that through your settings. On Firefox, it's literally like the first menu, but it gets rid of browsing history, gets rid of cookies, and it gets rid of cached things. Please notice that there are some things. This is clearing your access to the copy. Chrome, your internet service provider, and also if you're on some kind of public network, will still have all of this. So deleting this does not get rid of it from the network. But if you're having issues or you're testing things, go through and delete all this stuff. I just want to show you guys how to do it because it took me like 20 minutes to figure out how to do it and I felt really dumb. So there you guys go. I hope I saved you some time. On Firefox, you just click into that menu and it's like right here. A cache file is something you downloaded. Not quite. A cache file is kind of like local storage. So it exists in your browser, not a downloaded file. It still exists in your browser, not on your machine. The other thing I wanted to show you. Oh, if you need to know what's your IP, you can just Google it. And it will give it to you. Ooh, look, I have an IP6 address. Wow, fancy. I will spend a lot of time tomorrow talking about these different formats. That's fancy. I got one of the new ones. But yes, that's my computer. Well, okay. My IP address is different than a MAC address, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about it. But yeah, there we go. That's like my router's address. Cool. So I hope today what I really want to do this week is provide you context for why things work the way that they do and help set you up for success. Yeah, you got an IP4 address? Yeah. It's probably because my internet's new because I had to reset me. So those are two things that I want you guys to, just have in your toolkit because sometimes you need to know what your IP address is. Being able to clear data out of your browser is really nice. Excellent. Nice. Okay. Cool. Any questions about anything so far? And I didn't go in depth about setting up Apache because you just kind of install the software and go through. It's not crazy hard, and honestly, most of the time you won't be the person setting it up. That typically is either an IT or a DevOps or something like that. Typically the most you will have to do with Apache is maybe add a mine type or add a path. And it typically does look something like this. Oops, sorry, wrong computer. You just literally have this and you just type it into the box. Cool. All right. This guy's a pretty beefy section. So first and foremost, for this section, which we are not going to finish today, ain't no way. I do not expect you to be a networking expert. I just don't. The point of this section is I want you to understand all of these systems and understand why we have to build things the way that we do. So you can get whole degrees in this. I've taken a bunch of networking classes and I'm still like about it, but understanding how these things work can help you write better websites. So protocols are just sets of rules. Typically, protocols are made by consortiums. We'll spend some time with some fun ones and some less than fun ones. I'll probably also talk about emojis in the Unicode consortium, but we're going to be pretty deep into some boring stuff for a while. So bear with me, ask questions. So the internet runs on a bunch of protocols. The first one that we've already used a lot is HTTP and HTTPS. HTTP is an older protocol and is less likely to be supported. It is not completely deprecated yet, but it is getting deprecated and some browsers will no longer load unsecured websites. And that's the difference, is HTTP is unsecured. Any questions about HTTPS or like general internet protocol things? Cool. Okay. So that's what you use a lot. Like you just kind of like make it and it's there. Make requests. Great. HTTP and HTTPS is where we get like post, get, headers, all that kind of stuff is all from there. I thought the lock meant it was secured. Yes, that means it's HTTPS and that they have their certificate. So when you click on that lock, notice it says connection is secure and it has a valid certificate. Versus if we go, like, I don't have mine set up all the way. It says not secure. Ooh, I thought my images were broken for a second. And then I don't have a valid security cert and all that. So no lock, and this is not secure. Please note, the lock means that it is encrypted in transit. That does not mean a website is safe. It does not mean a website is the website you think it is. All it means is the data is encrypted in transit. That's all the lock means. Okay, excellent. I want to talk a little bit about how the internet works. So I'm going to draw some pictures. And so please note that we are talking specifically about the internet and not, okay, I will share this. There you go. You may come help me draw. This is not the World Wide Web. Remember, the World Wide Web is all of the stuff on the internet, and that the internet is the actual like infrastructure. So we got the internet. So the internet is just basically a whole bunch of computers that are all connected. I'm gonna draw a router. Boop. Did I not select this? I'm gonna make another one. Oh well. Okay. All right, here we go. Are we ready for my beautiful drawing skills? Whoop. There we go.
So nice.
The cloud. The cloud. Okay. One note, one engineering note / tiny petty thing that doesn't really matter. The cloud is an engineering shorthand. All that cloud means in engineering documentation is something I do not own. So when people say cloud computing or cloud storage, or it just means not on premise. That's literally all it means. Azizi, would you like to connect my squares to my circle, please? Oh, yes, excellent note. Yeah, you can leave your note. Can you connect my squares to my circle? Then I'll connect my other dude over here. There we go. Yes, perfect. 10 out of 10. So this would be like our router. And these would all be our individual devices. So like, you know, laptop, phone, and then I don't know, maybe our PlayStation. There we go. So all of those devices have their own unique MAC address, and then they probably all have the same IP address. And then they all connect out to the cloud, and that's just the rest of the internet. This right here, let me change the color real fast to, I don't know, green, that's fine. This is a local area network, also known as a LAN. And then if this was connected to other networks, it would be a WAN. Let me draw some circles just so you guys have that too. I want it to be a circle. That's okay. So we have our PAN, which is a personal area network. We got our local area networks. And then we have, is it the metropolis next or the wide area network next? I don't remember. Yeah, okay, so it's metropolis next, then wide. Okay, so you got your metropolis, and that's just basically like a slightly bigger network. And then finally, at the very top, we have our wide area network. Not vital for y'all to know, but just some like jargon for you to have in your brain. And all the AN stand for area networks, and all that. Personal area networks normally include things like Bluetooth. Your local area networks are like wirelessly connecting to other things on your network, like your smart TV can talk to your laptop. That's a local area network. Or like all computers on a college campus can talk to each other. That's a local area network. It's getting dark. I'm going to turn my light on real fast. Okay. Your MAN is like an inner city network. So like, it's like your computer connected to like Comcast, and then your WAN is like connecting to the rest of the internet. Just so you have that. So we have these different diagrams. And take a screenshot of this and oops. Come on. Oops. Boop. Yep. And I'll post that in Slack for y'all. So if you're ever causing your told its layer, yes, exactly. It's what we call a PCAB error. It'll kind of be written like that, I've seen, and that means problem exists between problem exists between a keyboard and chair. And it's a C, not a B. I wasn't paying attention as I was typing. Yep. Or an ID10T error. Yep. Mm-hmm. It takes people a minute to get it. Uh-huh. Exactly. Cool. So this is just a little bit of like diagramming what networks look like. And remember, the internet is just a bunch of interconnected networks. Like, that's why it's the internet. Yeah, it's with a C, not a B. I had a typo because I wasn't paying attention while I was typing. Because this problem exists between keyboard and chair. So it's a C, not a B. Yeah. My favorite one was so one of the guys I dated was an electrician, and they would haze each other by saying, "Hey, go get me the wire stretcher," or "Go get me the pipe stretcher."
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Blinker fluid. Oh, that's good. That's good. I like fluid. That's funny. A pipe stretcher. Yeah. A heat gun. Oh. Glue. All right. Cool. So with that, like, the reason that I went through this diagram is because how do I get something from my laptop I'm gonna delete that. I want a different color. Go away. Keys to the ship. That's funny. I like that. That's funny. Okay. Boop. So how do I get something from my laptop to your laptop?
Through the internet.
Through the internet. Yeah, and so there's a couple different protocols we can use. Somebody came back with some keys. Oh, that's funny. You said find some keys. I found some keys. It's
Got them
dedication.
from the lower deck. That's what he said, but it was fake. So
Yeah, it's probably just some dude's car keys or something. He stole some dude's car keys. That's funny. So the way that we transmit all of this stuff is through packets. We've actually already seen some packets. They are small pieces of info with a header. The header contains stuff like if it's a GET request, a POST request, the IP address, and all that. So all of our data gets broken up into packets, and then the packets gets transmitted through all of this. This gets into like routing, and that's why your things are called routers. They determine the path that a packet's going to take. That's why they're called routers. The headers also, let me see, Sam's header sheet. Yes, this is going to give me what I want. Yes, okay, cool. I'm going to share this with y'all. Cool. Go away. Jesus. Can I download it or do I have to make an account? Ugh. We're not doing that. Anyways, whatever. It opened it. I'll share it with you guys, and then you can find it and download it wherever. Packets can get lost. Yes, we will talk about it in depth. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Okay. Yep. Just so you have that. There, you can just get this. We could probably just go to the SANS Institute, but this is literally the first one I found, so we're just going to use it. We will talk a little bit about how all this stuff works. This is specifically talking about TCP, which is a protocol, and we'll talk about it. But what I really care about is this. Can I zoom in? Hello, let me zoom in. There we go, that's better. This packet header goes on every single packet that you make. And it says where did you come from? Where are you going? How many are there? Did you tell me what's going on? We have this offset and reserved. We don't use those. The reserved flag sometimes jokingly gets called the bad guy flag because it's not accounted for. And so people joke that it's the bad guy flag. And so if you're doing something wrong, you have to, mark that you're doing something wrong. This script is the website we're on. I think it's just some kind of like management thing for like PDFs. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's the first thing that I found with the document I was looking for. Then we have a checksum, which verifies that it's the correct packet. And then we got options. Options can do a bunch of different stuff. But this is what a TCP header looks like. It gets set some numbers. We can timestamp it and all that. That's what a header is, and then it gets put with information too. Let me show you guys what this looks like in practice. The tool I'm about to use is called Wireshark. If you do not know what you are doing, I do not recommend using Wireshark. If you are at the Cyber Center, I do not recommend using Wireshark.
Okay.
This is a packet analyzer. So we're just going to hit go. And here's all the traffic on my network right now. Okay, that's enough. So I think this is my IP address. And it's a UDP stuff. So this is this video chat. That's what this is. Yeah. Yep, because it's going, yep. So this is what it all looks like. These are hexadecimal numbers. Remember, we talked about hexadecimal previously. This is one of the cases where we use them besides color. So here's the header, and then it's all encrypted because it's encrypted traffic, but you could unencrypt it. And it's data.data. So there's data. And then Wireshark also gives us some information. So like, it tells us, I don't know if you can see it, see down here that this is changing. So it tells us what's up. If you're interested in like networking and stuff, Wireshark is a really wonderful tool. There are textbooks on it. I recommend, what's it called? Packet, Wireshark and packet analysis? No. Analysis. I'll take a look. I have a physical copy of it. I take a picture. Yeah, exactly. Wireshark is it's just a tool for analyzing network traffic. But if you're on a network where you're not supposed to be analyzing network traffic, it can be seen as a negative thing. So don't go to the Cyber Center. and be, doing all this. Now, that being said, I ran Wireshark and the Cyber Center multiple times, and I've never gotten in trouble. But my advice for y'all is don't. Okay, so that's TCP headers and packets. This is how the internet works on like a very fundamental base level, is little tiny packets of information that have little headers. So like it's like stamps and envelopes. Your envelope has your information in it, and then you put a stamp on it to get it to where it needs to go.
And that header is just automatically generated when the packet is created.
Please.
Kind of. So it gets generated based on the request. So if it gets generated when like you as a client or a developer make a request. So that's a good question. So kind of is the answer. You make this header like, I want to open Postman, but it's already 3:58, so I don't think that's going to happen. It takes a long time. I have it on the new computer. I don't know how long it would take. I'm going to be scarred for life. Yeah, and typically with Wireshark, you're not necessarily looking at the data. You're looking at traffic flow, and you want to see like what the different kind of traffic is. Because then you can look for stuff like abnormal high peaks in traffic or requests to a bunch of stuff that looks weird, all that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and wrap up because it's 4 and I got to do an interview. Yeah, her computer was just doing things. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, that soundified. Yes, for sure. You never know. Any questions about packets or HTTP and HTTPS? We'll dive deep into these other protocols tomorrow. All right, groovy. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because I got to do an interview for the next class at 4. So other than that, are they doing the meeting? That's only Mondays.